Welcome back to the Mandarin Majlis. I'm Joanna Liu. As the founding father Sheikh Zayed wisely said, real wealth of the nation is its people, especially educated and hardworking youth. And today, that wealth shines through the new generation of Emiratis. Today, in this episode of the Mandarin Majlis, we have one such voice, a young Emirati who's not just learning Mandarin, but living the cultural connections between the UAE and China. We are going to welcome our special guest today, Alanood Ali Li Yuan'ai. First, please introduce yourself a little bit and talk about your journey of learning Chinese, because we love to explore on our podcast.
Sure. First of all, thank you so much for having me here. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm so excited to share my experience with you and the audience today. You know, Joanna, I always like participating in this type of activities because, as I mentioned before, there are very few Emiratis in the field.
Yeah.
And I'd like my voice to be heard, and I like to share my experience so people could relate to my experience, because back when I first started learning Chinese in 2022.
2022.
Yes.
Wow.
So it was right after COVID, and there was no one, like I was the only person in my class. So I wanted to relate to someone. It was just my teacher. She'd
But
give
like
me.
how? What drives you to start to learn Chinese? As you mentioned, you are the only one to study Chinese. Why you have such a
In my
choice?
class, I was like, we were very few students, maybe 3 students, and I was the only Emirati.
Yeah.
And I was just a student with some free time, and it was kind of like a strategic decision, given that my major is computer science, and I always had the idea of China being a leading role in technology. So I thought they would go well together. And also, I always had this creative side. I remember that every time I passed by my institute, I just saw the Chinese calligraphy and I was very amazed. It felt like I was fascinated. I wanted to learn more about it.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into Chinese. It was just, I used to pass by the Chinese Institute every time. I was like, what does that even mean?
Ooh.
Yeah, and I had some free time, and I'd rather do something that will educate me, you know?
Yeah, I see. But somehow Chinese calligraphy and Arabic one, they're kind of like the same kind of art and so fascinating.
When I went to, what is it called? There's this place in Beijing, not the Great Wall of China.
Gugong?
Yes.
Gugong,
Yes,
huh?
Gugong.
Oh, yeah.
And we've seen like very big stones, and they had calligraphy on them.
Yeah.
And it's like because a long time ago the calligraphy looked totally different, right?
Yeah, correct.
And then they derived it and they make it simple.
Yeah.
So I was very surprised because it looked very similar to the Arabic strokes.
Yeah.
So that's one of the amazing things that I've seen.
Yeah, but from back to the original, actually, before the Chinese calligraphy, we also start from right to left.
Yes.
You know, but now we change from left to
Yeah.
right. But in Arabic,
We'll never change.
You never change, right? Yeah. That's actually inspire you to start to learn Chinese. You mean?
Definitely.
Oh, so every
'Cause-
time you pass by and you say, "What is this art?"
Yeah.
Fascinates me, and then you
Definitely.
start.
Because during my free time, right before that point, right before getting into my first Chinese course, during my free time, I used to paint. I spend my time painting.
Yeah.
So I felt like it's very familiar to me, you know. It was in my comfort zone. And I noticed that the recent generations,
Yeah.
they get to know more about the Chinese culture from the music or the TV shows. Right before my first course, I didn't know anything about East Asian culture. I
Yeah.
didn't know anything about the music, or just when I first started learning, and then I got to know more about the music, the TV
Yeah,
shows.
actually, this is very good points. You know, I noticed that maybe most of the Emirati, they are very familiar with Japanese culture, or, you know, anime or
Yeah.
K-pop, like
Yeah.
Korea. You know,
Yeah.
they know really
C-pop.
less about Chinese, you know, and that's really, you know, a new way, new path, right? To
But everyone's eating hot pot.
Chinese before is not really that much focus on how to use media to let people know more about China, more about Chinese culture. But now I see many people, they through media to see how beautiful China is and they travel there, right? And you've been also traveled to China.
Multiple of times.
Multiple times.
Multiple of
How many
times. I
cities
love
you
it.
visit?
Oh, one thing I can't differentiate with
Tell me.
between is like when you say province and city. So I don't know. I think I've been to a few provinces, but multiple of cities.
Okay, I didn't think that's kind of like this. For example, if you talk about Alien, but
Yeah.
this is under Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
So when we say the province is kind of like, for example, I'm from Heilongjiang province.
Okay.
But which city I come from? I'm from Harbin.
Oh, interesting. Very cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
the cool
wow.
place. So this is like, how Abu Dhabi with Alien, same like Heilongjiang with Harbin.
Because China is huge, you know.
Yeah.
But I've been to a lot of cities. I've been to Beijing, Guangzhou, Guilin, Guangxi, Hangzhou. My favorite city was Hangzhou.
Same.
love
I
it.
like Hangzhou, Shanghai, that area.
Yeah, I've never been to Shanghai though.
Oh.
But,
who introduced you to go to Hangzhou or Guilin? Like, most people go to
Yeah.
Guangzhou, Shenzhen, or Shanghai.
Yes.
The few people they will explore those areas.
I think it's the cultural exchange programs or like mini trips that I have taken with my friends.
Oh.
We've been to multiple cities. Some cities, when you take a look at Beijing or Guangzhou, you feel like it's very international
Yeah.
and you see a lot of foreigner people. But in Hangzhou or Guilin,
Yeah.
you barely see foreign
Chinese just
people.
locals, right?
Yeah. And people are totally different.
Yeah,
They're
totally.
more shy. They're more
Yeah.
conservative.
Yeah.
The traditional dress is different. It's not a cheapao. It's like
Yeah, because it's different area, they have
Yeah.
their traditional clothes, right?
Yeah.
But did you find it's difficult to communicate with the real locals, like not that international, like Beijing or Shanghai, but when you go to Guilin, because they are more like, not that open. Maybe they are rarely to see foreigners. Did you find any difficulties when you're traveling there?
I didn't find a lot of difficulties. It's just that the people are very shy, and they're not used to it, They're
Yeah.
not used to seeing foreigners,
Yeah.
and they're just shy. They don't know how to approach, and sometimes people will just take photos and they're even shy to ask to take a photo. Just
Yeah, I know. I
stand
found
like.
Yeah, and you can't like decode
Yeah.
there. I
Yeah.
want to ask you. I want to
Yeah.
take a photo. Should
Yeah.
I?
Ichi paija?
Oh. Yeah. So
Because they're shy to ask.
you find like different cities give you different kind of the vibes, like a different,
Definitely.
right? Even though in one China, but different cities. they are
Definitely.
different.
The way they speak, the food, the way they dress, everything is totally different. And that's what I love about China is
you never be
just-
bored.
yeah, you just keep learning more and more about each city and every people and so on. It's just amazing.
But so far, what's
I
your
see.
favorite Chinese food?
I think hot pot, hogo is my
Hogo.
favorite. Other than that, I feel like the food is not very similar to my food. It's
Yeah,
not similar,
correct.
so the taste is a little powerful.
Yeah, it's
So
powerful.
I'm still not used to eating Chinese food to this day,
Yeah.
but I can eat hogo, it's good.
Yeah.
But I don't like the Beijing hot pot. I like the Chengdu hot pot.
You like Chengdu
Yeah.
hot pot? Yeah, I got it. When you're traveling in China, especially like the Muslims, sometimes you have to be careful. You tell them,
Exactly. For sure.
can I just eat this kind of meat?
You guys eat a lot of pork.
Yeah.
A lot of pork in breakfast and afternoon.
Yeah,
and
and
all
then
the
like
time.
for me, eating pork is not a must for me, right? And it's funny that pork in Arabic is hanzi.
Hanzir.
Hanzin.
Yeah.
It's kind of like hanzi.
Yeah.
Like Chinese
Yeah,
character.
yeah,
Everyone's
yeah,
like, oh, I like this. I like connection. Your Chinese is so good.
Thank
If you
you
want
so
to
much.
showcase them, you're free to do so. Definitely, yeah.
To all my Chinese fellows, 大家好，我叫李文爱，我学习韩语2年了，在迪拜大学孔子学院。我的专业是计算机，我可以说一点点韩语，但是我很害羞。
That's wrong. It's not 一点点. This is a lot. Yeah, like the tones, how you
Thank you so
pronounce.
much.
And actually, I found, I don't know if you notice, like the person who can speak Arabic, when they are learning Chinese, no matter the pronunciation and the way they study Chinese, very easy.
I can tell you why, because I don't think the Chinese people know this, but you guys have tones, right?
Yeah.
In Arabic, we have tones as well, and we call them harakat.
Oh, harakat.
So we're used to using our throat and try to use different sounds. So I think that is what's familiar between the Chinese and Arabic.
Oh. And also, you guys have more sound than Chinese.
Yeah.
You know, you
Yes.
how many Chinese could I think that's Arabic is harder.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's hard. If you speak Chinese, you can speak Arabic. And the other way.
Wallah. This is a compliment.
Yeah, and if you speak Arabic, you can speak Chinese for sure.
Had you participate in one of very well-known global Chinese language competition called Hanyu like Chinese Bridge, which is organized by Hanban, right, to encourage non-native speakers to showcase their Chinese proficiency, cultural understanding, and performance skills. What was that experience like?
It's very international.
Yeah.
And what we shared together is speaking that same language. We had to communicate all with the same language. Some of the students wouldn't speak any other language but Chinese.
Ooh.
So, so I couldn't even speak in English, you
That's
know.
amazing, right? No
It
matter
was
where you're
great.
from, no matter
Yeah.
what color you are, just one language.
Definitely, yeah. That one exactly, I believe that it has changed my perception on a lot of things, you know.
In which way? Like the way you meet, like it's not only me learning Chinese. The people from all over the world, they have the same goal.
Yeah. I believe because it was my first time ever, other than in class, I would speak Chinese in class, right? So it was my first time speaking Chinese out of class.
Yeah.
It was my first time to visit the country, to learn about the culture.
Yeah, everything's
people.
new.
Everything was totally new.
Yeah.
You know, it was more of a culture shock.
Yeah, I can understand.
The first 3 days, I was so scared. I was confused. But the last week, I didn't want to go back. I was like, no. So it was a great experience, and it improved my language and my culture understanding and awareness. It improved a lot. And one of the beautiful incidents I'd never forget is that the greetings, the way we'd greet each other.
Yeah.
So I'd learned from the book to say 早上好.
Yeah.
But,
morning.
yes. But some students used to say 你吃了吗?
Ah.
And I was very confused.
like why
Have
you
you
care about
eaten?
if I eat or not?
Yeah. But when I found out the meaning behind this phrase, I was very surprised because, back in the 80s, because of poverty, people used to use this phrase.
Yeah.
So it is a very simple phrase, but it holds a lot of history and emotions. It's the sense of, it's a way of protection between Chinese, just to make sure, have you eaten?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a deep phrase. I learned that from my first trip.
Yeah, because this is especially you will see this people use this term 你吃了吗 like in Beijing. You know, like you often hear people, they may not just greeting like normal, like 早上好下午好 there's 吃了吗 because they care.
Sweet. Everyone would say 你吃了吗 and everyone was so sweet. I was like, why do you care about
But
it?
I think this is somehow the similarity, the hospitality of Arab and Chinese. They are
Definitely.
very like, how you show you're welcoming people. You keep giving them food.
Yeah. We're both very generous and we share that factor, and it's amazing.
Yeah. Back to language learning, interaction is very important because sometimes as a language learner, what you really learn from the book, maybe that's not used for or how people use, right? Like how you learn Fusha, how you communicate
definitely.
people. There's a different.
Definitely.
Like Chinese also, there's different ways. And maybe some of the terms used by how close the relationship you with that person.
Exactly.
They also change, right?
That's very confusing.
Yeah, if you to talk to the seniors, maybe you again to change the tones, the words you use, right?
Exactly.
But this will frustrate you.
Doesn't frustrate me. It's really good. I get to learn a lot,
That's good.
It improves my language, and I'd never forget each and every phrase that I've learned from, like, from my discussions and being surprised, and I'd ask, what does that mean? I'm sorry, I don't get it.
Yeah, but you have to have the positive energy, right? And when you do not understand, ask. And then they
Definitely.
tell you and you never forget.
And the Chinese are very helpful. They're never not welcoming. They always try to help you as much as possible. If you don't know, they take their time and try to help you.
And being named Confucius Institute idol and you winning the Chinese, one of the Chinese culture video competition really reflects your passion and dedication
Thank
and
you so
really
much.
your achievement, you know, like bring to mind that the powerful words of Sheikh Khalid, you know, bin Muhammad Al Nahyan saying, we punch over our weight, right? This statement perfectly, you know, captured the UAE's growing influence on the global stage and see what you have, you know, achieved so far. And as a young Emirati, you know, I would like to ask you how understand that phrase, especially, you know, with your special journey with learning foreign languages, and you are also building connection between the UAE and the world.
To us, the Emiratis, we've learned to punch above our weight by taking a look at our leaders. They've always taught us to be determined and ambitious, you know. And that is how we try to achieve, we try to punch above our weight.
Yeah.
For me, Joanna, getting into Chinese or starting to learn Chinese was never a requirement. I've done it voluntarily. I just had some free time. I was a student and I decided to do that. And that's because I wanted to contribute to my country's growth. I wanted to be part of it. And not only the Emirati side, but the Chinese side as well. I always try to remember the responsibility that I have representing the United Arab Emirates to Chinese and in the culture exchange programs.
Yeah.
And also my best to reach to the Chinese people, and I want them to have a better understanding about my culture and my language as well. So I wanted to be, that's what I'm trying to achieve, you know.
Yeah.
And how I achieve that is by the support of my parents. My parents are multilingual themselves, so they can relate.
That's
to
why you are
me.
so good at languages.
Thank you so much. And also my teacher has been very helpful. She constantly pushes me. Shout out to her, Ting Lao Shi, Wang Li Ting. Most of the time we spend a lot of time practicing my pronunciation and trying to learn about the culture and the history. She truly tries her best to do that. And even the UAE itself, we have a lot of opportunities like the culture exchange programs. Definitely, if it wasn't for those type of opportunities, I wouldn't have participated in any, you know. And even Chinese being taught in schools or universities.
You're trying your best. You put the efforts to influence more young people to have some impact globally. This is like an amazing thing, like what you said. Yeah, the government support. I want to, you know, contribute to how our mission of the UAE.
One of my favorite things and what I love about the Chinese culture, Joanna, is that what I love about the Chinese community is that you're not restricted to only learning the language. You can find what you love in the language. So, for instance, if you don't want to learn Chinese but you want to do business with the Chinese, you could do that. If you want to learn about the culture, you could do that. If you want to learn about the history or even the philosophy. So
they give you different tastes.
Exactly.
Right?
You don't have to learn the language itself. But once you start to connect with the Chinese in any way possible, for instance, let's say we're doing business, I'm going to learn about your culture as well because I'm definitely going to learn about your culture.
Sometimes when other foreign learners, they say, oh, Chinese, I don't know how to read this. This is just like a painting art. But actually, if you know the meaning behind.
It has, it's very descriptive. For example, the word ren is people. It's written like this.
Yeah, just like a walking.
So just like a person who's walking. So if you try to understand it in a simpler way, if you try to understand the what is it called? The way it's written or the meaning behind it.
Yeah,
it's
the
gonna
stroke,
be
like how you write, right?
or where it's derived from, because a long time ago the word ren was written very differently, right? And then
Yeah.
it looks like that right now. So if you try to understand the pattern or where the calligraphy is derived from, it's gonna be so much easier. It's gonna be easier for you. You're gonna learn it faster. You're gonna understand it. You're gonna learn about the culture, like the word ja, which means house.
Yeah.
You can see that there's a pig under the house, right?
Yeah.
And
Can we
this
see that? Haram?
haram.
No?
It's not haram.
Okay, no. That's good.
I don't think so. Okay. But the word ja has a pig under it,
Yeah.
and this pig symbolizes the culture of the Chinese and how you guys like the pig, like you have
Why?
you have it in the culture. Like it means that a pig should be present in every house, in the food, if you have a big house, you can have it as
Yeah, like a prosperity, right?
Exactly.
Like you have a lot to enjoy, a lot to eat, and like abundance. That's
Exactly.
why actually you see when there's a lot of baby born on the year of pig, you know? I hope this was not offensive.
No, it's not offensive at all. You know,
Yeah.
we learn to respect each other from this type of.
Yes. No matter it's from Chinese government side, UAE government side, they really put a lot of efforts to make these two, nations, the people from each other, to do a lot of cultural exchange, you know? So what do you think them to encourage, especially young generations, they learn from each other?
They could really learn a lot. I've been studying Chinese for the past 2 years, and I have noticed like certain behavior within the Chinese people.
Like what?
They have a hard-working ethic. So I can see that in every Chinese, as I've mentioned from my teacher, staying overtime. And it's not only the younger generation, but the older generation
Yeah.
as well. And not only in education, like waking up in the morning super early, and I see the Chinese aunties and very old people doing Tai Chi in the morning.
Yeah.
That teaches you to respect the culture. That
Yeah.
teaches you to have or build a better human understanding.
Yeah.
And even understanding or connecting on a deeper level, you know.
They're really hardworking. As you said, they wake up so early, like discipline.
Older generation is always waking up early, and
Yeah.
one of my favorite things is in China when I'd wake up early and take a look at the parks and see the grandmas and grandpas doing Tai Chi or dancing.
Yeah,
That's very amazing. It spreads positive energy.
Yeah.
A hard-working ethic doesn't mean just. It doesn't mean one
Like
thing
it's only study,
yeah.
right?
Sometimes we are different. Definitely, we're different people, different
Yeah.
language. But by the end of the day, our differences should bring us together and not drive us apart.
Yeah.
And that's what people should understand. Having a different language or a different culture doesn't mean that we can never connect. You know,
Yeah.
we should try. We should still thrive and try our best and punch above our weight so we can
Yeah.
achieve this type of mutual understanding.
在迪拜的图书馆中，书香弥漫，时光仿佛流淌得更缓慢。漫步在知识的殿堂里，书页的沙沙声，如同浪花，轻拍着心田。光影交错间，古老的智慧与现代的思想在此交汇，编织出一幅绚丽的画卷。每一个书架，每一本书，都充满了我尽的智慧与启示。在这片神圣的土地上，命运的齿轮开始转动。我第一次了解了迪拜大学孔子学问，第一次认识了我最可爱的中国老师们，这也是我与中国人交流的第一次。
第一课 Lesson 1。
老 老师给我出了一个可爱的中文名字李元爱。学习汉字对我来说，就像解开一幅复杂的画，一开始难以掌握，但通过不断的练习，我逐渐学会很多汉字。它们的美丽让我深深着迷。我不仅学习汉字，还学习中国的传统文化，让我深刻感受到了中国文化的博大精深。2023年是我最开心的一年，通过努力，我获得了去中国比赛的机会。
大家好，我叫李文爱，我是阿联酋人，来自迪拜大学，今年大3，同时也是迪拜大学孔子学院的学生。我非常开心能参加大学生汉语潮比赛。
在比赛中，我认识了许多来自不同国家的朋友，我们一起交流。
通过学习中文，我们能够了解丰富多彩、立体全面的中国。
令我震撼的北京故宫，像一颗璀璨的明珠，闪耀着千年历史与文化的光辉。登上长城，它像一条古老的巨龙，展现了中国古代的智慧。我还出了中国广西，广西宛如一幅水墨画，山峦起伏，云雾缭绕，给人一种仙境般的感觉。杭州有着浪漫和活力，漫步在西湖边，可以感受到自然的宁静与和谐。这段在中国的旅程，坚定了我在中国接受高等教育，并在未来成为一名全心全意促进中阿两国合作与友谊的文化大使的决心。作为阿联酋的青年，我们将继续努力学好中文，为中阿友好贡献自己的一份力量。2024年是中阿建交40周年。5月，阿联酋总统 Hamad bin Zayed 访问了中国。在这条学习中文的道路上，我深刻体会到，学习不仅仅是知识的积累，更是拓展视野，增进理解，以更好地融入这个多元化的世界。我爱阿联酋，也爱中国。